This is the town of El Quseir. It's in the southern part of Egypt on the Red Sea coast. Not a lot of people come here. Before I left England, I never heard of the place. It's only because I was further up the coast that I learnt about this delightful place's existence. And I'd like to tell you something about the history of the town and the magnificent fort. It's far removed from the rest of the clamour of resorts along the Red Sea coast. The historical city of Al Quseir is a muddle of colourful and creaky coral block architecture dating from the Ottoman era that sadly is bypassed by most tourists. This charmingly sleepy seaside town has a history stretching back to pharaonic times, when it was in the main port for boats heading south to the fabled East African kingdom of Punt. Although little remains of this earliest era, you stroll through Al Quseir's photographic old streets, backed by battered ramparts of its Ottoman fortress and speckled with the domed tombs of various holy men who died en route to and from Mecca. This provides a fascinating glimpse into this region before tourism took over. Throughout the Egyptian history, Al Quseir has been an important port, serving as the thriving centre of trade and export between the Nile Valley and the Red Sea and beyond. A Greek historian recorded a fleet of 120 ships exporting pottery, slaves, wine and precious materials, and bringing back silk, spices and stone, which were then carried by camel to Kift on the Nile and shipped north to Alexandria and Europe. It's also been a major departure point for pilgrims travelling to Mecca for the Hajj. Even during its period of decline, the city remained a major settlement and was sufficiently important for the Ottomans to fortify it during the 16th century. Later, the British beat the French for control of Al Quseir, and for some time it was an important step on the trade route between India and Britain. The opening of the Suez Canal in 1869 put an end to all this, and the town's decline accelerated, with only a brief burst of prosperity as a phosphate processing centre in the early decades of the 20th century. This Ottoman fortress was built in 1571 to provide Ottoman troops with control to ports and therefore passage to Mecca. Modified several times by the French and then by the British, who permanently altered the fortress by firing some 6,000 cannonballs upon it during a heated battle in the 19th century. It was used until 1975 by the Egyptian Coast Guard. A recent renovation has made it into the best site in town. Much of the original exterior walls remain intact and the interior has been well renovated. Some rooms have interesting information boards documenting the history of Al Quseir, the trade conducted here and the people of the region. The North Bastion has a small exhibition of about the local Ababa tribe, and elsewhere there are displays explaining the trade routes across the desert to the Nile and down to the Red Sea, as well as explanations of what was traded. I'll just finish this video by saying that I met a man from Tanta who works in one of the resort hotels about 7 kilometers away, and he, like me, had never heard about this place despite he lives in Egypt. It's like me in England, I've not heard of every village because there's 24,000 of them. So this place is not that well known to Egyptians either. It's largely untouched. It's got buildings a couple hundred years old. The hotel here, the oldest, was built about 1910. Due to bronchitis, I shall stop the video right now. Thank you.